Hey folks, Ted Cantu here with the Miracle Mind Shift. I am on day 60, and wow, is it incredible to be on this side of experience. We're working here with a subconscious mind. We're working with reprogramming all of the bad junk and garbage that was put into your brain from your family, teachers, professors, friends, colleagues, bosses, guys that were just unbalanced to begin with, trying to tell you how to live and what you should be doing. I threw you out. You're fired. What a glorious feeling to have control back and see real experiences come through. Let me tell you about my day yesterday. Total flip of what I thought I'd be doing. I have a family member who has problems with her bones, and they meaning the doctors did some surgery and they chopped her up like, like they do. It's Western medicine after all. And we were told there's nothing you can do about it. Not only that, I have another family member who had problems with her heart. And again, they tell her there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to deal with it, suffer with it, take our prescriptions, and then when the day comes, you go. That's it. That's all she wrote. I got a couple more stories like that too. But here's the difference. I just happened to go into a place. It was a health store that I was off the radar, off the map. These people don't even advertise. And I went in there because my mother had an appointment to see a practitioner there. And something told me from the quantum field, could be an angel, right? Ask the question, do you guys have any books in there? Are there any books in this place? So I asked a question. My mom says, I think they do, but it's been a while since I've been there. So I walk in and voila, there's a reading room with tables. That's a cafe. It's small, but it fits the purpose. And there was books there that were out of print. I walk in there with the intention that I'd find something, and I did. I found two things that I would not be able to find anywhere else, and they were out of print. One was called The Body Electric. It's a book about a doctor who actually works with bones, broken bones, and instead of putting screws in them and trying to push them back together like our doctors do in this country, he found a way to heal them naturally on a cellular level and fix the bone marrow and make him strong again. And he actually practiced this first with salamanders and frogs. Really interesting stuff. And he did it with a $1,000 stipend or allowance from a university. And they didn't believe in him because it's Western medicine, but he did it. Not only that, I found a way to actually heal your bones with electricity. Cool. And you can buy stuff and you can do it at home. Wow. Whole new field. And I found some out of print books about lipids. And of course, lipids hold viruses and how to eat through them so you can actually become healed. I actually found this and I was looking for it. The chances of that happening are in the millions. That these two books were almost side by side, right? And the person that knows more about cellular healing, she was about 15 feet away from me within shouting distance. And she just happened to be an expert in these fields. And here's the funny thing she said. She goes, Out of all the people that walk in here throughout the years, nobody's ever touched that book. It's been sitting there forever. Like it was waiting for me. And she said, "You're the only person that walked over there, and that was the first book you went to, and you gravitated towards it." Wow. Is that something? That's amazing. So uh I was stunned, but those three things, those two books, no one's ever touched them. They've been sitting there forever. I walk in, they're the exact same thing I'm looking for. Out of all things, I could have went to any bookstore. I could have went to Barnes and Noble. I could have went to the Mayflower Bookshop. I could have went down to King's down in Royal Oak. And I didn't. I went to this little health place, like a shack, really, and they had the answers I was looking for. Incredible. And I found an expert and a teacher to help me guide me on cellular nutrition and pulling heavy metals out of my body, as well as fixing bones, fixing the heart, and putting us on the path to health. You don't have to believe. If you want to go home and cry your eyes out to the doctor and take your pills and wonder why the universe isn't helping you or why you feel alone in the world, there's that option. I don't want that option. I don't want to live that way. So if you're with me, get a pen and paper and some notes. Start taking some notes because I'm going to give you 5 tools today. We're coming up on Christmas. Some of you guys out there know what this means. It means nonstop fighting with your families, finger pointing, accusations, you name it, man. It's coming. Some of you, it means harmony. Some of you, not all of you, some of you. Let me show you something. This might be helpful, especially since it's 5 days away. So I've got some rules here about energy in the universe and how things work. And it's kind of interesting because you can start to use these tools right now to pull down the things that you need and get answers like the way I did. Let me just tell you. Okay, here's one, number 10. All right. There's no such thing as suddenly. So in other words, suddenly, I have a heart condition. Suddenly, the doctor says, I'm going to die. Suddenly, there's nothing I can do about it. There's no such thing as suddenly. Cause and effect falls into this. Prevention falls into this. For any situation, whether it be interpersonal, arguments, illness, catastrophes, somewhere there was a seed planted carelessly by you, and you probably didn't mean for it to happen, but over time it took root, and here it is. Like that lyric Robin Hitchcock said, what is it? The Devil's Radio. He says, Kate said, the flowers of intolerance and hatred are blooming kind of early this year. Someone's been watering them, possibly you. Suddenly. Be careful of suddenly. Be careful of what you speak. Live in the 4 crowns, like we talked about in the earlier videos. If you operate on a higher level, you're not going to have suddenly. You might have suddenly miracles, like the one I had yesterday. I'd rather have a day like that than, a day filled with that, paralyzing fear and shock value and everything else. Just be careful. Suddenly. Now, here's a deep one. Number 7, be the cause, be the creator. It is said that when we go up to heaven or the afterlife or wherever we go, for some of you don't believe in that, we don't do anything. We have a new body, have a new energetic body, and we are taken care of up there. Some believe, and this is the interesting part, is that we're sent here. We choose to be here. We don't remember it, but we're sent back here. It's a Kabbalistic thought. We're sent back here on our own choosing to be the creator, to call the shots, to be aggressive, and to make a change and make a difference in this world. We have opportunities right now to do that. So don't operate in the lower principles of fear, anxiety, guilt, shame, revenge, anger, jealousy. Don't operate in that space. Operate in kindness, giving. You understand? To live in harmony with the spirit and to align yourself as tight as possible, to be the creator while you're here on earth, to open the doors. That's number 2. I'm gonna see if I can keep this short today. I say that every day, and I ended up giving you way too much information and going over my time. But I'm gonna respect your time today. Promise. Number 3. Number 3. And I like this one quite a bit. We talked about it a little bit. Number 3 is okay, so no ego. Ego is always trying to protect us. And ego will always say things to you like, remember when we were big back in the 80s? Wow, how great that was. Or the 90s for some of you. I could do anything back then. And that's probably true, right? But here's the thing. No matter how big and wonderful you thought you were in the 80s or whatever, that's your ego talking. And I've been very guilty of that myself when I was always talking about myself being a big shot in the advertising world and that sort of thing. Your whole world is this big. 10% is nothing. 10%. But when you throw it away, I don't want to live in the ego. You open up 90% of your brain capacity to accept more things from the quantum field. And you start to pull in new energies, new thoughts, new solutions, new creations, new inventions, new ingenuity. Yeah, I'd rather live in that space. All right. Number 4, cause and effect. Cause and effect have delayed reactions, a delayed fuse. Cause and effect. It's important to know this. In other words, it works both sides. Let's say your enemies, if you have enemies or people that just are out to just do you harm, and they always seem to get their way, and they always seem to do people over, and they always seem to just just absolutely see the worst in everyone. There's cause and effect there too. And maybe we're not around to see them get their karma, but nobody gets away with anything in this world. Let me tell you something. I had wasn't a friend. He wasn't even a colleague. He was an employer of mine at one time. He was in the auto industry, and he said the worst things about everybody. And there was no joke that wasn't too gross for him. There was no woman that he couldn't defile with an angry comment or a sexist observation. Spit and vile is all he was. And I needed the money. So I worked with him briefly until I couldn't take it anymore, and I ended up leaving. I actually gave part of his money back just to get rid of him. And if you're listening, let this be a lesson to you, because what happened next, you can't make this up. His wife divorced him, lost his business, squandered the money he had for his company. And the worst thing about it was he had a son that was very weak, was not a strong kid, maybe about 10 years old, who was beat on and picked on mercilessly by his classmates. And he was beat up to a pulp every day, pretty much. Now, listen to what I'm telling you, because what I'm saying is that even though you're going to live crass in your own way, the energy around you may not affect you specifically at first. It might affect the people that you love around you, accidentally hurt them in some way. His wife was smart enough to get away from him. His son, I don't know where he ended up living, but he was a victim. And I offered to have a friend of mine give that kid karate lessons for free. I would pay for them, because I saw what was going on, and he refused. My act of kindness leads me to number 4. Avoid bread of shame. Now, this particular gentleman I'm talking about, he acquired a grant to start this company. He didn't work for it. It was given to him. Bread of shame. Meaning, there's no value behind the grant. It was just given to him, and he squandered it away, because that's what happens energetically to the money, you see. Bread of shame is interesting concept, because that money left. There's no value to it. There was no worth to it. And he was not a good person energetically. And it slipped right through his fingers. There must be value. There must be hard work. There must be something of substance to hold that energy, to hold that money together, to keep it in one place. Now, I'm sure he'd laugh and call me a 4-letter word if he was still in business or whatever. But I understand now he's working for somebody. He's got to work under somebody now. Either you respect the law or you get stepped on by it. Bread of shame. Oh, this is one for the holidays right here. Now I'm going to end with this one on number 5. And that basically is being right does not make light. Okay, I'm going to close with that one. Let me just tell you about that one. You can be right in an argument. You can be right. Doesn't mean it's going to make light. On the traffic, when you're driving, you cut somebody off because he deserved it, because he's taking too long. And you curse at him, and that's what you get for getting in my way. And people in Detroit, they live by that. That's their credo. That's the way things are done. Detroit. Bah. Detroit. Doesn't mean you're going to make light. Doesn't mean you're going to energetically be favored in some way. It's a good way to shut the light off. You keep living in darkness. That's just one example. You could be fighting with your family this weekend, and I'm sure you will, especially with the holidays coming. It brings out the best in people, but it also brings out the worst in people. You can actually do a lot of damage by trying to be right all the time. It might give you that temporary satisfaction of being right by cutting somebody down, or telling your sisters how to live, or telling your brothers how they should be living when you live like a heretic. That makes you feel good because you were right. You told them off. Good for you, is what we say. Not me, but I'm just paraphrasing. That's how people are to each other. And it doesn't make light. In fact, there's certain family members I never really want to see more than once a year. I spend more time with the Griswolds and the Corleones on Christmas than my own family. It's true. I have. I'm embarrassed to say that a lot of my family members can be very unpleasant. But just because you feel like you're right, it does not make light come. Be careful how we talk to each other. I have many examples, and I don't want to stretch out your time, but I've written down these 20 principles that you can literally take and start to utilize and make your own miracles happen. I have 15, actually, right here. And that's enough to construct a business that's solid and it brings in a return, which is really eye-opening. In fact, this particular blueprint has helped some Kabbalists that I know make over $1 million in their business, and to the point where they got bored with it, sold it, and built another one using these same tools. Anyway, that's my little chat on the 5 principles for today. And there's many more miracles to come. Day 60. 61, I'm afraid. I was mistaken. Day 61 was yesterday. That's where I got the miracles from. Today is day 62. I'm a day behind. Sorry. But you get the point. All right. If you have any questions, and I'm sure you do, you can always give me a shout at tedcantu.com, and you can call me at 248-277-6141. And you can always write me at tedcantu@gmail.com. And remember, if I can step over all my problems in this world, you can too. So thanks for watching. See you online.